How is it going, PC Nation? Welcome back to a brand new video. This video is going to be talking about, does Friedrich Nietzsche philosophy hold up to this day? So, if you don't know who Friedrich Nietzsche is, he was a German philosopher. He talked about a lot of things. I'm going to probably put this in the link and down in the description. But he talked about the critique of mortality. That's one thing that he believed in. Another thing that he believed in that I really like is this. As a aesthetic mortalist, Nietzsche aims at freeing higher human beings from false consciousness about mortality, their false beliefs that this mortality is good for them, not at a transformation of society at large. Basically, there's a lot of things of good versus evil when it comes to Nietzsche. A lot of people remember him for the God is dead thing. The God is dead philosophy that he came up with is not based off God being dead. It's based off actually God, like religion, being dead in new society, not controlling our societies anymore. He was kind of right about that. That still holds up to this day, kind of. Like, we still have the papacy. That's the thing in Vatican City. Basically, the papacy controls like the Catholic race, not race, but religion, the Catholic religion, and all that stuff. And the Vatican City is based off the papacy. The church is in charge, all that stuff. That's one thing that he did get wrong about religion controlling our society, and he was a big believer in mortality, that this mortality could be a higher mortality, which he is kind of right, that society could balance off a higher mortality than we have now. Like, there's good versus evil mortality, and a lot of different things that he believed in that we kind of still use. People thought he was crazy. Before his time, his philosophy is still around. We still learn about it. We still talk about it, like the God is dead thing. A lot of people still know about that. That's what he's famous for, and he's kind of right about it. Only in like a few instances, like the Vatican, like I said, for example, religion controls that society. If you live in Vatican City, if you're part of that country. Yes, it's a country, not a lot of people know this, but Vatican City is one of the smallest countries in the world. But Vatican City, I think it's the only country that's inside a country as well, because it's in Rome. It's in Italy, which is in Rome, and all that stuff is in there, but it's in Italy, which it's weird. I don't understand Vatican City, but his philosophy still gets probably passed around to this day. His teacher was kind of a nutcase, but himself had actually good standards when it comes to mortality, good versus evil, and what's the difference between good versus evil, and why we shouldn't let this mortality be an evil one. We should let our mortality be a good mortality, and we shouldn't let society be controlled by the church. And I do believe that as well. That is a good mental standing to stand by, because a society should not be controlled by religion. Society should be controlled by the people that inhabit that society. I love talking about philosophy. I love talking about philosophers, and I do want to talk about more philosophy in the future. I like talking about history, and he's part of history, and that's why philosophy and history come together as one, basically, because you're talking about a philosopher that we study and that is still out there, but it's still an interesting concept of philosophy. But Friedrich Nietzsche was an interesting guy, to be honest, with his mortality and all that stuff, and his philosophy on mortality and society. And I'm going to quote the Plato here. That's who I'm reading this off of. It's an education website. Plato's in the URL of the website, but let's give us another look into one of his things. Another thing that he talked about was the critique of depositive content of MPS. MPS, for Nietzsche, depends on its intelligible application to human agents on the three distinctive thesis about human agency. So, human agency possesses a will capable of free choice, and we still use this. Free choice is a thing. Freedom of speech, freedom of choice, free will. Another thing that he talks about, self. Self is a sufficiently transparent that agents' actions can be disgusted on the basis of their respective motives. That's also true. Human agents are similar to one moral code. So, moral code. A lot of people have a moral compass, moral code, and a lot of that comes from Nietzsche. And so, his philosophy does hold up to this day, and I like it. I like his philosophy, because his philosophy is very straight to the point, basically, if you study into more of it. But if you give Nietzsche a chance, like, if you like Plato, Greek mythology, Roman mythology, all this stuff, and Aristotle, Socrates, the guy that is the father of philosophy. If you also like Chinese philosophy, like Sun Tzu, Lao Tzu, and Confucius, they're also pretty good. I'm going to probably give a video on all of those people I mentioned. I don't know a lot about Lao Tzu. I know a lot about Sun Tzu. I love his book, The Art of War. His Art of War philosophy is something that we use still. He has multiple laws and stuff that he written about war in the Art of War books. We need, one day, if you get a chance, give it a read. But, yeah, that's all I have for this video. Search up your Friedrich Nietzsche. I'm going to put a link to the website I read off of in this video. But if you give it a chance, look up Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophy. And I think it does stand today, especially those 3 rules of humanity, basically. Everyone has a moral compass, that's true. Everyone has free will, that's also true. Like, all 3 of those rules are that we use today in the church not controlling society. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, press the share button, press the like button, press the red shiny subscribe button, press the bell so I know to find it every time I upload a video. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.